entire nation, possibly worst drivers in the nation, possibly the world, are in California, the Golden State. David Lee Scales, they suck. They suck.
It's no joke, dude. The
I'm
worst.
I am not kidding. Like I've always thought that California drivers were like they could drive, right? I guess like California people drive, and hoped that driving equaled skill, I guess. Oh, what is this? What is this?
This is Vichy Catalan.
Vichy Cuddle. Is this the one? Have you discovered the one?
No, Gerolsteiner is still my favorite, but this was a recommendation from a listener who I think lives in Spain, and I'm like, I don't think that exists here. And then I was at a wine shop the other day, and they had it at a wine shop, like specialty retail.
But wait though, so Garrel Center, you like that better, even though you can only find, I mean, and look at the glass on that thing. It is so
Yeah,
for the dear listener at home, David Lee Scale is drinking a Vichy Catalan bubbly water in a artisanal glass.
yeah.
Uh
It's like
it-
pebbled.
yeah, a pebbled artisanal glass. And it looks delicious.
Mm. It's salty,
Oh, weird.
which is weird. Yeah.
Weird.
So
I don't like that.
Gerolsteiner is still number one, but I'm always glad to try something new. This is also a product of Spain. So listener was
Mm.
Spanish, and this was from Spain. So if you could find it, give it a shot. But Gerolsteiner beats
Carol
it.
Stanley, I mean, I've got so the daughter. So I was, as David Lee Scales was referencing, I was in Nashville. When was it? Did we film a podcast in Nashville? We sure did. Our last podcast
Yeah, we recorded last week. You were at the graduation on the day of the podcast.
was at the graduation. So she is home now. I drove, everybody else flew. But she is having her graduation like local party tomorrow here.
Okay.
And I was tasked to buy the bubbly water for the graduation party. And as it happens, I was at Costco. And so had to just get, it's funny when you have your fallbacks, like your rote reaction to something, your knee jerk, for me is Pellegrino. It's my knee jerk. Like I wish my knee jerk was, what's the dang French one?
Perrier.
Perrier. I wish that was my knee jerk. I wish I fell to Perrier. I don't. I fall Italian, even though I
Yeah.
wish that I fell French.
Look, nobody's going to complain about San Pellegrino. It's a fine product.
I mean, it was truly at Costco. It was the only one that was being sold that I could find in a glass bottle, and I refuse. I listened to some Joe Rogans on the drive west, David Lee Scales,
Hmm.
and I actually only listened to. So it's 40 hours of drive. Sorry, 30 plus hours of driving total. You just did what? What total road time were you today?
Five. And I was only 30 miles away. And it
It's
was 5 hours.
insane.
It was 2.5 hours there and 2.5 hours back.
How annoying is that?
It's so insane. But
Yeah.
by the way, so listeners who are just catching up, or they wouldn't know this no matter what, but I was in
Yep.
Malibu, deep Malibu, like Ventura County, Malibu. So Malibu, I think, is 27 miles of coast, but this was like far north and then into the hills to record a podcast. Do you know who Jim Denevan is? Or did you
Th-
look him up when I told you who he was?
no, but the name rings a bell.
Okay.
Uh, who is he again?
So he's a surfer from Santa Cruz. That's the relevance to the podcast. But he's famous for two things. Number one is this sand art that he does. He draws these huge, massive scale drawings in sand with a rake or a stick, and they're incredibly precise, like mathematically unbelievably precise. And when I say large scale, I mean some of them can only be viewed in their totality from an
Helicopter.
airplane.
Yeah.
And not even, I forget the way that the guy in the documentary worded it. The, guy who works at the Guggenheim was explaining the level of atmosphere that you have to be at to actually fully see it. And like perfect circles, and concentric, like Fibonacci sequences that you literally need to map out geometrically. So that's one of the things he's famous for. The other thing is in 1999, I think he started this dining event called Outstanding in the Field.
Oh, damn it. David Lee Scales, damn it.
You know who I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. So continue, but I have a cursed caveat to this story.
Okay, well, he incorporates both things sometimes. So the dinner events are like 300 people at a very long table. It's everybody sits together. Because of the size, you only have access to, let's say, 8 people around you. And it's a roving dinner party. So they do them in different locations, beautiful locations, and they've done them in all 50 states, 25 countries, and they have local chefs come and prepare the food. So the idea is, rather than bringing farm to table, it's bringing the table to the farm, and then bringing in the best local chefs, and it's a who's who. Like, the chefs' names that have done these events are world class, 3 Michelin star chefs, and they've been doing it for, I don't know, over 20 years now, I guess it would be 25 years or so. And yeah, so he's famous for those two things. And he'll incorporate the land art into the actual dinner parties as well, where the table is part of the mathematic kind of curvature and design of the artwork. But what's your story?
Worth driving deep Malibu for sure. If this was just I mean, God bless the shaper. Let's not take anything away from the shaper. If that was a shaper, that would have been worth it too. But for him, that seems very well worth hours on the road. But yeah,
Yeah.
so wife, of course, has fine taste. Had discovered what's it called again in the fields? Out in
Outstanding in the field.
outstanding in the field. Had discovered it, I'm gonna say 10 years ago. And I thought, let's go. I got us tickets and it ain't cheap. Let's
No.
be honest. It is not a cheap ticket. So I got us two tickets. Excited. La 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 la. Time passes. I think it was probably 2 weeks after the fact. Realized that we totally missed it.
Oh no.
Yeah. Yep. And so it was like, yeah, I don't even know how I remembered that I missed it. Like, but fully bought it. I mean, and dear listeners, if marriage has taught me one thing, I guess it's not put things in your phone. I didn't put this in my phone either, but I put stuff in my phone all the time now because I get so in trouble for missing stuff. Uh, and if you don't look at your phone, you're not gonna, or don't look at your calendar, you're not gonna catch that thing. And I mean, I'm sure you can put alerts, and who wants to be alerted more than they're already alerted? So, dear listener, what I'm saying, I guess, is write things down on a dry erase board that you stick to your front door, in the inside of your front door. So every day that you're leaving, you realize or remember what you have potentially planned.
Better yet, tell your wife to remember for you.
I mean,
If she knew the date, she would have, or if she had booked the tickets herself, she would not have missed the date.
this never happens. If when she books
Right.
things, this doesn't happen. Like
So what do you know what the venue was? Where was it going to
it
be?
was it was a winery in Temecula.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that is hilarious. And what I was worried when you kind of cringed as I started the story, I thought you had a bad experience at the actual event, which I could not
No.
imagine because
No.
they're
No.
spectacular.
I mean, and are you kidding me? Like that, and I probably had it. I'm sure the cost has gone up. I feel that it was like 350 a ticket or something, which ain't no joke, right? Like,
No,
so I dropped a clean near $1,000 for a
right.
dinner that I
Yeah.
did not attend. And I mean, imagine, yeah, there would have just been two empty seats there like at that beautiful geometric table in the field.
Yep.
Just, yep. Oh,
Well,
I guess two people didn't show up.
so Chaz and I had this podcast today scheduled at a certain time, and then I kept postponing because the thing with Jim just went on and on and on. And the first thing that went on was we were supposed to meet in Santa Monica. He texts me while I'm leaving my driveway and is like, "Hey, instead, let's meet at Malibu at this venue that we're doing an event at tomorrow." So I'm like, "Well, Malibu's not that much farther than Santa Monica. The beginning of Malibu isn't. The end of Malibu is 1 hour farther north."
Malibu is the longest. I mean, I think it says too on the sign as you're driving in, like 100,000 miles of pristine coastline or something. As you're passing out of Santa
Yeah.
Monica, da, 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 everything's fine and good. You get to that sign, and whatever it says, I mean, it's like 40 miles or something, right? But deep Malibu versus Malibu. I mean, so here's the thing, right? Which, and I'm not going to say celebrity names here, but every time you and I have done both, how much time have you spent? Malibu-ish?
Uh, in hours?
I mean, are
I
you
mean,
like a
I don't think I've
are,
ever spent the night there even, but I've spent a total of 20 hours of my life there.
okay, but you are a
I passed through it.
somewhat
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, a somewhat regular, yeah, like, and I'm not there all the time either, but I've, stayed and whatnot and blah de blah. And it's always stuns me that, I mean, I guess I don't want to say anything about this, but I'm just going to say it, that Hollywood people live there instead, basically, of North County, San Diego, because it takes the exact same amount of time to get from North County, San Diego to Hollywood as it does Malibu to Hollywood,
True.
except you've got a lot more surf and you got a lot more bang for your buck down here.
Totally.
Like,
Yeah. No,
but it's the
it's
drive time is
wild.
the same. Like me from here getting to Hollywood, where
Right.
they work, is the same for them in deep Malibu getting to Hollywood, and it may be even it's probably is a lot shorter for me to get there.
The 10 miles to get from Malibu into LA is takes as long as the 40 miles to get, or the 50 or 60 miles for you to get from San Diego to LA.
I mean, for 50 or 60, it's 100 miles for me to get to, and
Yeah.
120
Yeah.
probably to get to Hollywood, and that is still
I know.
quicker than the whatever. Yeah,
Totally. Well, the property that I was at today was unbelievable.
yeah,
It's
worth
this,
it.
yeah, this guy's farm, but it's just he has all the set from the film The King and I.
Oh
He
yeah,
somehow
like the
has
original one.
the original film. He has a
Oh,
bunch of the
epic.
set up on his property and like he's built into it. So it's all just part of the grounds
Uh,
essentially.
I mean, so that was worth. I mean, when you were texting, and I was feeling bad for you, but I also thought that yes, that's a bummer. Like, to be that kind of driving stuff is a bummer, but I'm guarantee I was feeling that you were seeing things that made it worth it in the end.
Got to live in the moment, man. And I unfortunately plan my days so that I can never live in the moment. I have to always be thinking about the next appointment that I have to get to or the next thing on my checklist. But if I could have just been there and enjoyed my time with Jim, because he was super gracious. He was like all about sharing his story and connecting with me and engaging and all that sort of stuff. So I could have let him ramble on for, 6 hours if I had the
Yeah.
time.
Well,
I,
good thing that we had to get to the grit.
I've got this heavy lifting to do called work that people always reference. Um, People really want you to debate Brit Merrick about the Grateful Dead.
Yeah, has Britt reached out? I thought Britt was gonna. I was waiting. I've been waiting for
Okay.
Britt to reach out to me, and he has not.
I
So
thought
do I
you were
have
going
to?
to yeah, I thought you were going to reach out to him.
Well,
I can facilitate the deal.
I mean, I'll hit Britt up. I thought that
Okay.
Britt was gonna hear it. Britt's a listener.
Yeah.
Love you, Britt. But I mean, Britt is not only a listener. The Britt is like does what we say. Britt signs up to ag1.com/surf.
True. Man.
Britt. So I thought I totally didn't imagine that I would still be sitting here. I mean, yeah, I feel like Kendrick Lamar now after dropping my last diss track,
Oh.
and there's nothing that came back my way. Well,
Okay,
okay.
well, we'll make it happen. Listeners, I'm not kidding. A number of them, people have strong opinions. Is ultimately what it comes down to about the
Of
Grateful Dead.
course they do
And
on
and
every side.
and they were like, so Tony Roberts, TR and the DR did call in, and I won't play his call, but he was impassioned. And he was like, he goes, never have I heard Chaz so, you know, he acts impassioned about certain things, but like that was one topic where I could tell he hated the
I
Grateful
hate
Dead.
the Grateful Dead.
And TR was like, I feel the exact same way. TR grew up in Santa Cruz, and
Yes,
he's like, there was,
I know we are bros.
and so he said he went through that experience where um he saw the whole movement. It wasn't about the music, it was about the culture of people who
Sure.
followed. It was about the deadheads that
It's-
was so offensive, where he's like, their lack of hygiene, this certain thing. They would come into town, like
yes,
a roving band of gypsies that had no respect for the, our
they
what
suck.
who we
And
were.
like,
And then he goes, the problem was I never gave the music a chance because it was just these people that represented the Grateful Dead. And he goes, eventually, I ended up hearing the music.
and it
And I was,
sucks.
no, he goes, I was pissed because it sounded like it was really good,
Oh,
but I couldn't give it a chance. And I still won't give it a chance because of my initial association with the Deadheads.
good. Keep off it. Like, you might have like a moment where you get in, you start jamming to "Come See Uncle John's Band," and think, oh, this is like a little jam. But then remember how bad it sucks. But then when you hear it again, you just realize the people who think that the Grateful Dead have musical talent are insane. Like there's zero, sure, they can play their instruments for like 45 minutes at a time. David Lee Scales, you and I could form a riff band that was as good as the Grateful Dead. Like tomorrow, I could get on a uke. I don't even play uke. You could start tapping out the drums and we would play 50-minute songs and do like a 9-hour set and we would be as good as the Grateful Dead.
Okay. Well, we'll get on that while you get a hold of Brit and or he gets a hold of you, and we'll do
Yeah,
both
Brit.
things.
Yeah. I mean, I
We'll
guess
play the intro music for that episode.
apparently Brit's been busy shaping boards for world's surf league champions. Apparently,
He's traveling to events this year too, I believe. So maybe he's on a flight to Tahiti right now.
for sure he is.
Another quick one, DLS and Chaz, quick story. I went to college in Malibu. I know. By the way, perfect, perfect
Yeah,
timing for
yeah.
today's episode. Circa Y2K, and I saw quite a few celebs. Kelly and Pam Anderson, to name a few, but by far my most memorable was at a gas station down the street from First Point. I'm filling up my crappy Chevy S10 pickup, and I look over and see an older fellow across the way also pumping his own gas. I immediately do a double take, and lo and behold, it's a mid-70s, very dignified Johnny Carson, the king of late night. He must have seen my double take of recognition and without saying a word, gave me a nod and a wink. I cracked a smile, didn't say a thing, finished up and left. It's such a small gesture, but it's rare that somebody can pull off a wink as effortlessly as Johnny did. Such a class act. I will always remember that. Work, Matt, Santa Cruz.
Perfect, perfect. Johnny Carson, wink plus wink equals exactly how you're supposed to play that wink. Like, not sexual, not weird, just one man recognizing something.
Exactly. And that is, I've never seen Johnny Carson wink, but I can imagine it in my brain. And it is the exact definition of how you want to execute a wink.
Especially at a gas station. Like that seems so because like anything, a wink shuts down. Like Johnny Carson for sure doesn't want to have somebody come up and start talking to him, right? Johnny
No.
Carson's busy. He's getting gas to go somewhere. The wink, purely, I see you. I recognize you. We shared a moment.
Yep.
Boom, off we go.
I totally should have winked at Jim Denevan today. Missed my opportunity. Um, Another quick email that's just funny and worth reading is David, read the ongoing topic of quote partners. I don't think there's any topic during which I've looked at my phone more thinking, oh man, these guys are total idiots. Try to work, love, Andy.
What, like total idiots because of the denial of partner?
Who knows? I have no idea.
I really like it. I love negative feedback, and I hope that's what this was. But I'm like, I will die on this hill, just like I will die on the stinky patchouli soaked Grateful Dead hill of have a partner. Like, leave your woman and get with a dude and
Yeah.
have a partner. There, like, if that's what you want to do that. If you want a
Um,
partner so bad, like, make your buddy your, I guess, significant other.
well, the I got another email. Actually, the same. It was a lady in Portugal who was asking for the Grateful Dead combo, but she said, she gave a long explanation, paragraph or two long about partners in Europe and like at a certain age and just and like my response was, yeah, I know there is, a need. The point is, there's a need for a new term.
Another word.
Yes, exactly. Like I know that this thing exists that isn't quite a marriage and it makes it uncomfortable to say boyfriend. Fully agree, understand that. We just need a different term than partner because partner is so sterile or it's like it's anti-sexual. It's not, it doesn't represent any of the intimacy of that exact relationship that you were talking about.
And it's also way too broad. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the
exactly.
problem with it is you have I'll even strike that. It's not too broad. It's specific to business relationships.
Mm,
Like your partner is your business partner.
yeah.
Like it doesn't work, and that's a fine place for it to be. But you don't if you're like romantic or whatever connection with somebody, is purely a transactional thing, I guess call them your partner. If you are
Sure.
living with somebody because you're saving money on taxes and you are, hey, it's one rent instead of two, I guess great, call them a partner. But
Yep.
if it's any deeper than that, if your relationship with this person is any deeper than purely transactional, which I'll throw it back to those who want to keep partner in the lexicon. Uh, yeah, if you want to look at the person across the table from you, the person that you're taking to outstanding in the fields, as a purely transactional relationship, that's your partner.
Yeah. So the term does still exist, but when you deliver it, we interpret it as
Yes,
a
this is
transactional
transactional.
relationship.
This is
Correct.
100% transactional.
By the way, I was just I was thinking on the drive back, if I had the weekend van, I could have pulled over and we could have just recorded at any point.
Are you
We could
kidding?
have stayed in Malibu and we could have recorded this
I
podcast from there.
I thought about the weekend van nonstop from Nashville, Tennessee, all the way to my doorstep in Cardiff by the Sea, California. Thought about that weekend van. Thought,
Would have been the week long van for you.
man, it would have been the best ever. I would have been like feeling a little tired. I'm gonna go and get in the back seat and just sit for a minute. Or like, who
And
knows what I would have done with that thing?
I'd be more comfortable in the weekend van than I would be right now in my own home.
It's so true.
So Jim Denevan has this massive bus, like an actual old city bus, like an ancient one, that is part of his gimmick, like that he roves from event to event on. And so we were going to record in that. I went into it, but he had too much junk in it
Yeah.
from prepping for tomorrow's event. But I was like, man, the weekend van honestly would have been my perfect solution here. And I would have blown his mind by it as well. So anybody who wants an equally convenient opportunity to rove the planet and in luxury, there's zero compromise in drivability too in that thing. It was a 2024 Mercedes
It's a
Sprinter van.
Mercedes for pity's sake. Like
Exactly.
it is yeah, I don't even know what Mercedes tagline is. The gem of the road or the whatever it is. Mercedes. How do you go wrong with a Mercedes?
So it's weekendvans.com, or I think on Instagram at weekendvans, but check it out. They build out basically uh, camping rigs into Sprinter vans, and they can do it for you if you have a van, but they also can provide the van, or you can just rent the one that we use as a podcast studio. So that is the ultimate solution. We got to get to work though. I got a tools to live by for you, which is something that I've actually thought about, but a listener is dealing with it right now. Tools to Live By, of course, is brought to you by Veyer Watches, who provides our daily uh, tool for telling time.
When was the last time you were on Veyer's website?
This week I was on Veyer's website. And by the way, if you go to Veyer's website, save 15% by going veyerwatches.com/surfsplendor.
I was legit there. When I was first introduced to Veyer watches, I felt that they had like a 3 watch kind of offering.
Mm.
And I kind of assumed that's still where it was, like a limited offering. I honestly went on 20 minutes before right this show, just wondering what was there. They have like a wide variety of phenomenal watches on that, like from proper luxury, like Swiss made luxury watches to like honest, good price point, does the job watches.
Totally. Yeah, traditional, I'd say kind of traditional aesthetics, like dive watches, field watches. They've
Oh
got a
yeah,
couple
it
dress
doesn't go
watches.
weird. No,
No,
it's all exactly what you want. But the range, I suppose, is quite honestly shocked me. And also, like, of course, they're all American assembled, phenomenal Japanese parts or Swiss parts or whatever.
yeah,
But they also have full Swiss part made in Switzerland watches.
exactly. For the highest tier.
Yeah.
So yeah, wide range, veyerwatches.com/surf splendor. Glad that you checked them out and recognized the quality of what they're doing over there. Um, okay, this listener chimed in or wrote in and said, David and Chaz, please advise about whether or not to go on a professionally coached surf trip. I've seen these popping up where they're basically you're paying for the whole trip plus the fee of having a surf coach the whole time. The benefits they offer are, arranging the accommodation, transport in the country, video and photography in and out of the water, and coaching and feedback. So that makes sense. But on the other hand, you're going on a surf trip to the Maldives or Central America, and it would be cool to have coaching to help maximize your abilities in good waves. Lord knows every surfer could use coaching, whether they admit it or not. And maybe a few days with a coach and video feedback could advance the surfer's abilities faster than they would learn naturally. But on the other hand, if you're going on a trip with your buds, don't you want to just surf and not have to worry about progressing? Also, I'd feel like a kook if someone was coaching me in real time out of the water. I see the merits of both twerk and work, boys.
I'm gonna say if you have the resources to go on a I would fully do it, to be honest. Like the subtle joys, I feel learning. Damn it.
Hmm.
1 second. The French, Hemi got into the Paris Opera Ballet, which
Oh,
is,
congrats.
yeah, it's a
Oh
major,
my
major
gosh.
one. So yeah, like I think it's, I mean, one of the most prestigious, if not the, I mean, yeah, what am I saying? It's the most prestigious ballet
Huge.
school. And yeah, and so she has to get her. But yeah, unlike ballet schools here, the yeah, for her other ones, she has to get like a physical and stuff. The French are like, what medicine are we allowed to give her? And you just to have a doctor stamp it that we can give her this stuff. Yep.
Perfect.
Yep.
So she's going to France for this.
Yeah, you're going to Paris.
Amazing, dude.
Yep. The Paris Opera Ballet.
Amazing. Congrats. That's huge.
Yeah, you can put that little call that it won't violate her HIPAA. It's all good.
Right, right. So going on a professionally coached surf trip.
Is epic, right? I mean, speaking of right there, a ballet school calling in, like that's what I've realized that learning, I think, or yeah, learning, we put a cap on at some point where, and I think he clearly recognized that there is value there. I think there's a lot of value there. And of course, this is apples and oranges here. Of going on a buddy surf trip is one thing, but if you have the means, and time to go on a coach, I mean, I would imagine a coach surf trip would take anybody's, like if you went with Brad Gerlach, right? And
Yeah,
his wave key somewhere. I don't know if he does that. Does
he
Brad do that?
does. Yeah, he does. Well, they put him up in a at a resort in the Maldives. Niyama brings him out and he stays there for like a month or so and coaches their guests. So they
Which
advertise it.
which if you're, and I would imagine if you're just like a guest going and then this is on offer and you do it and you're like, okay, cool, and you do it and then you might get something out of it. But if you're going on a trip specifically to improve, I think that you would probably improve 30 or 40%, like all the dumb little bad habits you're doing. And I guess the thing about this is, uh, you can't keep doing them. You'd have to do one or two and be done with it because I feel that we have so many bad baked in things at this age, or even, past 25. Like you're already baked in where you can kick up 30%. If you do another one, coach surf trip, you can probably get 36% better as a surfer. But that
Yeah.
would be it.
Yeah. I think for me, when this came across, it was more a matter of like, um, do I want to work on a surf trip or do I want to just cruise? And I used to think it was kooky to really try with stuff, and I'm kind of past that point now where it's actually cool to try. Like it actually feels good to try and it feels good to improve. And the not wanting to do that as an older person, I think you just become older. Like
Um,
part of staying young is committing to the process and trying harder and wanting to get better and all that sort of stuff.
I think you hit the nail absolutely on the head of like being old is not necessarily an age thing. It is your brain is starting to calcify. And if you still
Yeah,
think,
exactly.
I want to go get better where to our, so for this tool to live by, I'd say embrace if you can, like if it's either or, right? If it's either I go on a surf trip with a coach to get better, or I go with the bros and have fun, you can weigh that out, I feel. I'd still say go with you've done, how many bro surf trips have you done in your life? Like
Yeah,
10, 30? I mean, go see if you can actually improve your surfing. Why
yeah.
not?
I would be a little discriminate about who the professional coach is because I've seen
Definitely.
some guys on Instagram whose names I don't know, but they are doing this for a living now. But then there's also Alex Gray, who is offering these experiences. And so if you can go with somebody like Gerlach and Alex Gray, that's a no-brainer. And maybe the other coaches on Instagram that I'm not aware of are also very good and qualified. I don't know. But like the other thing is there's so many little small insights that somebody like Alex Gray or Gerlach have that make a big, big difference that don't actually require that much effort. And you just, like you said, your baked in habits are just there by rote. You just get up and you do something because that's the way you've always done it. But it's equally as easy to implement the change. And as soon as somebody points out that change and you see the benefits of it and you're surfing better and you're feeling better, it's like, it's a no brainer. Why wouldn't you do it?
36% of them, though. I
Yeah.
think there's a 67%. 60, 36, 64%? 64% that is never going to change. I mean, yeah,
Or would
if
take that much more time on land lifting weights to get the
oh my,
change
I
to
mean, I
implement.
just like I even watch though, I mean, back to the ballets, like at daughter's ballet studio, uh the master teacher will no longer really accept 13-year-olds from other studios now
Oh,
because they
wow.
have too many bad habits that she can't break, right? At
Yeah,
13.
yeah.
These are 13-year-old girls and they have enough baked in bad habits that aren't going to change, which makes me think, oh yeah, as a 47-year-old man, imagine how many surf bad baked in habits were for sure. Brad Gerlach can say, hey, pop up this way, da, 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 and I'll be able to, I think 36%, and that's after two. I think you can change whatever percentage initially, but you can never change all your bad habits.
Yeah,
We are baked at this point.
totally.
But
But
still, totally worth it. Like imagine surfing 30% better than you do now. What like imagine surfing even 15% better would be would feel mind blowing, would feel like a whole new body, a whole new world. Where to me,
completely.
that's absolutely worth going on a coach surf trip.
Yeah, completely. That's funny. I thought you were going to come down as this is definitely a nah. So I'm glad to hear that we are aligned in our quest to improve our mediocrity.
I mean, improve. I mean, you said it though. It is the calcification. That's what ages you. That's when you
Yeah.
sit, when you start like yelling at the clouds and whatever, right? Like that's when you are tipped off the cliff. And I ain't talking about living forever like Joe Rogan or Shane Dorian. I'm talking about thinking I can still improve and I should still try to improve. When,
Yeah.
like, at what point do you just give up? And I think so many people do just give up, right? It's like, nope, this is who I am. This is how I am. Like, across everything from intellectually to I don't do math, can't do math. I mean, I had to stinking teach my daughter math. I was the worst ever. I mean, my math skill capped out, I realized teaching her in like fifth grade is when I went off the cliff. And so but I've had to reteach myself now.
Yeah.
And I realized, oh, I actually I can do like fractions and stuff now. I've taught, like, your brain wants to figure this stuff out. Just figure it out.
See, but I do like to let the calcification set in on a Friday evening
Oh my goodness.
by about 7 o'clock. It's like, all right, I worked
Calcified
hard
time.
all week. Let me just shut it off entirely and melt into the sofa and eat way too many calories. And
It's
but
beauty.
then but it is only good for a limited amount of time. And it's also only good if that day I did something meaningful that was like, the equivalent of push-ups, basically.
Yep. I mean, it's the yin and yang, I suppose. I think we're, yeah, as I said, I think it was two. It might have been 1.74 Joe Rogan
You
podcast.
have been working on math. I could tell the way that this show's going. You're trying to come up with very specific numbers for things.
The amount of like, damn it. So
Go ahead.
sorry. Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Back on it.
That's all right. I don't even remember you said 1.74 about
We,
something.
oh, Joe Rogan. I was thinking
Oh,
Joe
right.
Rogan, and that's how many Joe Rogan podcasts I listen to. But Joe Rogan's like, when was the last time you listened to Joe, our friend Joe,
I'm not, I don't really listen.
our
Yeah. I mean, if
drink,
it's been a while.
he is our teammate in Drink AG1. I just had a debate with somebody here at the house. And I said, you know, to be honest, when I think about it, I bet me and David Lee Scales sell more drinkag1.com/surf than Joe Rogan does. And the person mocked me. And I was like, Joe Rogan's on so much like stuff. He's always talking about stuff. And then it just like comes in, you know what I care about is like probiotics and prebiotics and drinkag1.com/Rogan. Do not drink that one. Drink the slash surf one. But thinking you and I are not fit. I mean, we're okay, right? But you and I don't have hyperbaric chambers in our podcast studios. We don't do this like Joe Rogan's nonstop dribble about the amount of supplements he's taking and all. I don't know how, which I would guarantee the drinkag1.com/surf gets lost in the noise of him, where it doesn't for us. It's the only reason I'm alive today. It's because of drinkag1.com/surf, where I think that's a way better selling point than I'm Joe Rogan. All I do is eat supplements, work out, and then also drink this powder. Like
Exactly.
it's that is
That is a
noise right
great
there.
point. That is a
Yeah.
great, great point. Perhaps the best commercial ever yet for AG1. All right. Well, do you want to do a pros in the wild?
Let's do it.
All right. DLS and Chaz. I got a cool pro in the wild encounter just the other day that I thought may be of interest to the grit community. It was a sunny day here in Southern California. The water was warm-ish. A nice south swell was running, and I was surfing a sweet little peak all to myself. I was surfing great, nice and easy, taking high lines, smooth down carves, feeling speedy, powerful in the flow state. About 30 minutes into my session and 10 or so waves in, another surfer paddles out around the jetty that borders the north of the peak I was surfing. At first, I was bummed to have been discovered. Who dares approach my sweet mediocre peak? I catch a wave and notice the surfer is paddling directly to my peak, and of course, I am trying to surf by my absolute best to let the intruding surfer know that I mean business. I do a pump, a nice cutback, wrap it back around, hit the end section, shove my board into the whitewash, perfectly enabling me to hop right back onto the board and paddle out and reestablish my priority on the peak. Felt like a dog slowly lifting my leg, pissing all over the tree, showing that the peak is mine, and I dare anybody to challenge me. As I'm paddling back out, the intruder catches a wave, and holy crap, he rips. Drops in, eyes the bottom turn, comes up to the lip, throws more spray than seems physically possible given the small wave conditions. This guy means business. In addition to the intruder's expert abilities to rip apart waves, I notice that there are no stickers on the board, not even a shape or logo. Must be a self shape? As the surfer made his way down the line closer to me, I recognized that blonde hair, strong neck tan, and youthful grin. In fact, I had a poster of him hanging in my room as a child. The poster depicted him boosting a massive straight air, flanked by two other frames of his brothers, each doing a massive carve with "off the wall" in graphic letters on the bottom of the poster. The intruding surfer was Tanner Gudangs. Realizing that I was now sharing empty waves with one of my childhood heroes, I gave Mr. G some space and let him have free reign over the peak that I had just pissed all over. Now I had a front row seat to a show of mastery of ripping apart SoCal beachies. Each turn he did was with incredible speed, projecting massive amounts of spray, some might quantify as buckets. And each maneuver was executed with impeccable style. As you all have mentioned on the podcast, seeing a pro surfer in real life is truly something else. After an hour or so of surfing in the same zone as one another, he paddled back around the jetty and shoots me a smile and a nod as he paddles away. I was sad to see that the show was over, but I was stoked to have the peak back to myself again. I was pretty bummed to hear that Tanner and the brothers were booted off Vans. I loved the Vans branding growing up, and my best friends and I loved the Gudauskas brothers. I was more of a Dane guy myself, being a goofy footer that admires alternative boards, but Tanner was a close second because he's a goofy footer too. However, seeing Tanner that day on a stickerless board, still ripping and smiling after each wave, gave me a glimpse into post Vans Tanner G, and he appears to be thriving. Wishing him and his family the best, but stay away from my tree. Cheers, James from SD.
Phenomenal, great message. And yeah, the Gudauskas brothers. I mean, it's funny. When you were first reading it, I was running through who
Right.
is this? Who is this? Right? Like you get to the blonde hair, and I'm thinking blonde hair. Okay, so it's a younger, still has hair. We're not talking about Matt Archibald. We're not talking about, like Kelly Slater, God forbid. But yeah, trying to figure it out. I thought it was going to be Kolohe until it got to poster on the
Mm.
wall, and then I thought nobody had a Kolohe poster on the wall. Uh, Nothing against Kolohe. But yeah, Tanner makes perfect sense. Tanner Gudauskas and to the Gudauskas brothers.
Yeah, I mean, those guys are still surfing at the top of their game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're young enough to still be able to fully do it, and their froth levels are just so high. Like
I
they'll
mean,
never give it up.
yeah, Vans was really I mean, the Gudauskas brothers as a brand, as a identity, as a thing to get behind is an absolute no-brainer. And it's still weird that Vans decided, kind of the most great marketable broad appeal thing we have. We're kind of not into it. We kind of don't want to sell stuff anymore.
Must be dire straits.
Yeah.
They had
I
tough
mean,
decisions to make with the
yeah.
budgets. So, anyways, excellent. Thank you for sending that in, James in SD. We also got feedback about Kook and Curran last week. Hey, DLS and Chaz, I think I have a Kook and Curran that wasn't on your list last week. Surfing with your knees touching the deck. It's either a kook who blew their takeoff, can't get to their feet, or it's a legend
Big
of the
dog.
craft, like George Greeno or Steve Liss. I've also been in the lineup a few times in Hawaii where some random uncle will paddle out on a knee board or even a bodyboard and go drop knee and get completely shacked. There's also times with pros, Gabriel Medina comes to mind, where he's going backside at backdoor or at Surf Ranch, where his back knee is kind of pressed onto the deck. For intermediates, however, we try to avoid this at all costs. I remember being a Grom, packing shore break closeouts backside with my knee on the deck, thinking I was cool when a pack of older kids screamed from the beach, "You don't look cool. You look like a kook. Get up." It scarred me so much that to this day, if my knee ever touches the deck, I just punch through the back of the wave in shame. Keep work, best PB.
I mean, it's totally true in terms of this is a good one. This is like a very subtle performance-based Kukenkuren. Like it's not the obvious sort of thing, right? This is a because if you are, yeah, like think of all the kooks who can't quite get to their feet and struggle on their knees, of course,
Yeah.
like in the wash just floundering, or the dude who's like, who is so, especially those ones in my mind, I'm picturing like a one of those pig dog barrels where back knee is fully twisted and in, and front knee is like it's like a
Yeah.
Mason Ho style thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
your like knees are so either on the deck or close to the deck that, and also, can we not give a shout out to drop knee bodyboarders? I mean, I think drop knee bodyboarders. I remember I interviewed Paul Roach. I think it was for Surfer's Journal. I think I did a Paul Roach story. Paul Roach like punched Kelly Slater,
Oh yeah.
yeah, boxed Kelly Slater in what movie was it? It was one of the Taylor Steele movies. Uh,
Yeah.
Boxed him
Focus.
and yeah, and embarrassed Kelly Slater. I don't want to do this anymore. This is dumb. Like made a mockery of Kelly, but drop knee bodyboarder. And I asked Paul because I was like, hey, like, so what's for sure there's like a secret physics to drop knee bodyboarding that gets you deeper, or you can do like harder tweaked out turns or something. He was like, absolutely not. There is no good in drop knee bodyboarding. It's an awkward stance that doesn't lend anything to anything.
Hmm.
And it's just what you do, right? It's just like,
Wow.
yep. Which made me think that's the coolest ever, where you're doing something weird that doesn't have any credit really, and it doesn't have you're not getting anything out of it, but you still do it.
Well, the ultimate version of that is stand-up bodyboarding.
I love Danny Kim so much growing up. Like seeing Danny Kim like closing or packing closeouts as a kid, I thought that's pretty dang cool.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I can think of two people, Chris Wan
Yep.
and Danny Kim, and they are unbelievably skilled at it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you think riding an Alaya is hard? It is, but a bodyboard's all flexy. It's way smaller, first of all, and it's all flexy. And they are like literally getting shacked at back door and doing 360s.
I mean, and speaking of back to Kook and Curran, didn't Tom was stand-up bodyboarding for a minute.
Skimboarding.
Oh, skimboarding, not
Yeah.
bodyboarding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you're exactly
But,
right.
but so I have to not cement this Kook and Curran because he's right in general, and he's definitely tapping into something. But there are intermediate surfers that I've seen get like if they're just goofing off, like they'll get to their knees and ride a wave in on whitewash,
That's true.
or there's also mediocre or intermediate knee boarders who have not mastered the craft yet, but for whatever reason they're knee boarding, like as their choice.
I will,
So
and longboarding really, I mean, if we even allow that into the conversation, longboarding really throws us off. Just I've seen, to your point, a bunch of longboarders like finishing their day, get a whitewash roller
yeah,
in, and just hang out on their knees. And
exactly.
they're great ripping or good enough longboarders, like not current longboarders. They're like, but good enough, right?
Right.
On their knees, which, yeah,
Exactly. So there are definitely current examples here, and there's a ton of kook examples, but there are
too many
just enough intermediates
intermediate
that
examples.
we can't cement it. So unfortunately, so thank you for the submission, PB. We recognize your work there, but we cannot commit. Okay, Chaz, let's go to commercial break, and we will be back with Barrel or Nah. Rocketmoney.com/surf. Just this week, my wife figured out she was paying a subscription for Showtime, but then also paying for Paramount Plus, which includes Showtime for free. That's precisely what Rocket Money was designed for. A modern tool that meticulously tracks the details that we easily get distracted from. It's a finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your monthly spending, and helps you lower your bills. It gives you freedom by helping you see your subscriptions in a simple dashboard and alerts you about hidden fees or increases. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has helped save its members an average of $720 a year with over $500 million in canceled subscriptions. Stop wasting money on things that you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/surf. Calm the clutter in your head, simplify the tedium of your financial life, and find freedom through rocketmoney.com/surf. Chaz, welcome back from commercial.
Great to be here. Do you see my hat, David Lee Scales?
One Water Brothers logo.
Water Brothers. I got a gift package from Sid Abruzzi. And as I age, I don't know that there's anything cooler in surf than Sid Abruzzi. Like, I mean, he feels at this point, he is the best thing that ever happened to surf. And to be able to rep Water Brothers out here in California, from the Rhode Island that it came from, yeah. I mean, I don't know if he's online now. Is he? Is there a waterbrothers.com? Can you
Uh,
order Water Brothers
I
clothing?
I couldn't tell you whether or not they have a e-com store.
If you want to be cool, I'm just going to say to our listener, go get yourself Water Brothers. Like, nothing says like absolute core to the core like Water Brothers.
You know why? Like
Why?
you're saying it as if support the core, but the reason why they're as cool as they are is that they support the community.
Yeah.
Like that the documentary, I don't know when it's slated to come out, but there's a
Yeah. When is it?
documentary. I don't know, but there's a documentary about Sid and the Water Brother story. And it's him throughout the entirety of his life. All that he has done is give back and support the community, the surf community, the skate community, and invite people, build skate parks, invite Tony Hawk to come and stoke out the kids, invite Kelly Slater to come out and surf out. So it's all about contributing back and taking very, very, very little other than the experiences.
And yeah, not only did Sid Abruzzi not go public with his company, not put it on, yeah, the stock
Right.
exchanges to do whatever, uh, every business partner around him was just hanging their heads as, oh no, Sid's coming to the store today. We are going to, not only we're not going to make money, we're going to lose a ton of money because Sid is going to give stuff away.
Exactly. Yeah. People come in wanting to buy it, and Sid won't take their money
Yeah,
because he
exactly.
wants to give them stuff.
So
So that's
go
why Water
buy,
Brothers,
thinking, figure out how to buy water. I don't know where I should have a plug here. Sid would definitely didn't give me any plug, didn't just sent me a box. Like, and I just got it and opened it up and thought, friggin' Sid Abruzzi, man.
I know.
They don't make them like Sid.
Exactly. So go to their Instagram at the bare minimum at Water Bros, and you can DM them and they'll send you stuff from there, I'm sure, even if they don't have e-com set up.
For
But
free.
anyways,
Sid will send it. Sid will send it and lose a bunch of money.
exactly. Yeah. It won't even charge you shipping. Um, okay, first barrel or not comes from James, who submitted the pros in the wild story. He had put a PS in there and said, barrel or not, approaching a pro in the wild. Should I just let them surf or let them know that you are a fan?
I'm going to say a full barrel to approach. And I'm going to say this like levels of fame, right? If you approach Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt or Pamela Anderson or, et cetera, et cetera, like they are just looking for peace and quiet. You don't approach them, right? A pro surfer, the most famous even of pro surfers, Kelly Slater, I'd say a good, to keep on with the math theme, a good 64.3% of the general population has no idea who he is, like would see Kelly cruising around and have zero idea who that dude was. And so I feel if you see a Hobgood, a Gudauskas, a anyone in the water, even a surly, taciturn Christian Fletcher in the water. I guarantee if you paddled up to Christian, I mean, if he's not like in his home zone where everybody knows him, and so it's, but even Christian would be like, yeah, cool. Like it feels good for him, right? They're not famous enough to have this be annoying, is what I'm saying. Is
Right.
so I'm going to say full barrel. This not only did you get to say hi to somebody you appreciate, you made their day. These guys are not mega famous stars. They're, maybe mega famous in our little surf world of 24 people. But that's it. And so, like, you will make them happy. And if they're a dick about that, then you can write them off because if they're thinking they're famous, then they need to be. If you go and say hello to a pro in the wild and they give you attitude back, come straight here and I will deeply shame whoever that pro is so badly for thinking that he was anyone because they're barely above nobody's pro surfers.
Yeah, I there's a polite way to approach a pro in the wild, and there is, a way that might annoy them. And so I think, yeah, acknowledging that you're a fan or that you admire their surfing is the polite way to do it. You don't need to sit next to them and then try to make small talk for the rest of
Yeah,
the
yeah, no, I
session.
mean, because nobody, yeah, who, it was Jerry Seinfeld. I listened to 2 seconds of the Bill Maher podcast too. Getting a lot of podcast stories here. Finally discovered podcasting as a medium. Uh, but Jerry Seinfeld was basically to Bill Maher saying, I don't want to talk to you unless we're working. And Bill Maher had his feelings kind of hurt, but it's true, right? Like at this point in all of our lives, nobody wants to go hang out anymore. Like
Right.
if we're working, let's chat. But otherwise, yeah. But so a kind, quick paddle up, loved your thing in whatever, and then
Yeah.
a paddle away.
Yep.
That's what you do.
I agree. I'll co-sign barrel on that. Um, barrel or not, number two, I'm gonna piggyback off Kuka and Curran. I'm listening to you guys right now about carrying your board with the wax in. So is it barrel or not to carry your board tail facing forward, asking for a friend?
Mm. Yeah, I've experimented with this from time to time. Uh, trying to be nifty and cool. It's not natural, I'll say, to carry tail out. And anything not natural is contrived, and anything contrived is not cool. And so I'm going to say no barrel, even though there's no real reason for it, but it is contrived. That's not the natural way that you pick up and carry a surfboard.
You know what's weird about this one though? While if you're carrying a board the correct way, it's the deck is facing away from you and the bottom is facing against your torso. If you were to carry the board tail forward, you
The
would
deck,
want,
no,
oh, the
no,
deck is still at, or
the deck is still at you.
the deck is
It's
still
just,
at you.
it's
Okay,
just
okay.
not, I mean, it's contrived no matter what. There's no natural way to pick up. The natural way is to have that pointy end facing
Yeah,
forward, right?
yeah, yeah.
How do arrows fly through the air? How does,
Right.
I mean, we could lead to any example. It's just contrived. And so if you can pull that contrived thing off with style, then have at it. But it's a try hard thing to do.
It
So I'm gonna say
is
no barrel.
it is out of sync with evolution somehow.
It is. It doesn't, you would never pick up a board naturally. Nobody, if you stuck 30 surfboards on the grass and had 30 people who had never surfed before pick them up, not one of them would pick it up and carry it tail first.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Don't even need to run the experiment. That is
Yep.
fact. Okay, final barrel or nah comes off of the internet this week. Kelly Slater's video with presidential hopeful RFK. Barrel or nah, voting.
Oh.
Kelly
This,
admits, I don't vote.
I'm gonna go barrel on voting. Oddly, like the dude who digs his heels in and says, I don't vote like Kelly, even though Kelly, what a, I mean, can we just Kelly bash real quick? What a
It wouldn't be the
fuckhead that
show
dude
without
is.
it.
What a full-on idiot. He's an idiot. Uh, Kelly like gladly pals around and posts on his Instagram like sucking up to Barack Obama, right? And then come back later and say, "Oh, but I don't vote." Like, okay, so then you're just a straight up weirdo, clout chasing sycophant, Kelly Slater. Like, I'm not saying that voting is the greatest thing ever. I'm not even saying that voting changes anything. I'm just saying stinking vote, because then at least like voting has no negative to it. Vote for whoever you want. Vote for whatever you want. I've stinking written my dad in as the write-in candidate for president of the United States before. Uh, but I like was there doing it, and it's not cool. But the people who don't vote and then kind of get off on it, "Oh, I don't vote. It's not my thing." Like, well, okay, screw you then. Like, not screw you because you get no opinion. I get equal opinion as you, even if you vote or not. It's just like arrogantly, like you for some reason think you're cool for doing that. What is cool about that?
Well, Kelly's explanation, which I think is relatable, is that it doesn't make a difference. Like my vote, everybody says your vote counts. But historically, the state is going to vote a certain way. And if your vote wouldn't affect that statistically, right?
Totally.
So I understand that point, but the reality is within that, maybe it wouldn't matter for the presidential election, but there's plenty of voting throughout the year where it would matter, and it does come down to small numbers of people who made the decision either to vote or to not vote. And so I think exercising the practice is meaningful at a certain level. And then additionally, being engaged in the political landscape and kind of understanding what's going on and who's who is the only way to make any change. If you're just oblivious to all of it, then you're handing over all the responsibility to the corporations who are making, pushing money around to make deals happen.
Yep. And yeah, and I felt Kelly's again, particularly, and the people that I know who don't vote, uh, it has a particular I'm too cool to vote. But I'm thinking you're like I fully get I don't go into the voting booth and think, well, here we go. The prop 84 is going to pass right here or not based on what I scribble on this piece of paper, right? I have no ego in my vote. I just think that's what we do as a country, so do it. And if you want to be cool punk guy and not vote, you're not cool and punk. You're just like do something else to be cool and punk. I mean, if you don't vote, all cool. Just never let me know you don't vote because I do not care.
Well, the other detail with the Kelly thing is definitely don't let them know if you're Kelly Slater and you don't vote because he's right. One vote might not make a difference, but you know what? Your vote can influence other people's votes and collectively they make a difference. And that's especially true if you're a famous person and especially true if you have millions of followers on Instagram. And so, Kelly, what you can be doing is voting and telling people about what interests you and why you're voting, which I guess is what he was doing with that RFK video, is in fact endorsing RFK. So you know what I mean? Like, but to plant the seed for the masses that it doesn't matter at all, so just don't engage with the process, I think is not the right message to send.
Especially when you're trying to play it off as being cool guy. I just don't vote. I'm kind of cool. Like, nothing's really appealed to my very cool, independent sense of what I think is right. Uh, but also, yeah, surfing is political, as we learned from Lucy Small. So,
We did indeed. Always being educated by Lucy Small, which is
yep,
fun from week to week. All right, Chaz. Well, hey, great show. Glad to have you back in the California state with all the horrible drivers.
I hate them. I have to get back on the road right now, straight to the ballet. So I get to
Okay.
enjoy some traffic.
All right. Well, thanks for sticking around for the podcast, and we will see you next week. Until then,
Keep work.
all right. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
All right. See ya.